Thank you for staying with us. And now we're looking at today's papers. We're starting with The Nation. And the major headline in The Nation is federal government moves to reform revenue collection, pricing of services. Finance Ministry launches FTR, CBS, Rev Up, and so on. Don't panic over DSS terror alert, Ondo Kogi tell residents. How Yakubu's innovations ensured credible 2023 polls by IPAC chair. ASUU suspends warning strike. Senate okays bill to double health funding. Kanu lists governors, ministers, military chiefs as witnesses. Foreign portfolios tripled to 1.8 trillion naira, all-time high in Q3. House of Reps open probe into Abuja $460 million CCTV contract. Police exit contributory pension scheme.
I have the major headline. So the federal government has moved to reform revenue collection and prices of services by ministries, departments, and agencies. That's the MDAs. It said it has launched the Federal Treasury Receipt, FTR, a groundbreaking reform that provides a single standardized and digitally verifiable proof of all payments made into the federal government's account. So the FTR ensures that every government-issued receipt directly corresponds to funds received into government accounts. This strengthens accountability, closes revenue leakages, and improves public trust in the management of national resources. The FTR is being deployed alongside another one that they call the Central Billing System, that's the CBS, which standardizes the pricing and billing of government services. Now, together, the FTR and the CBS form integral components of the Revenue Optimization and Assurance Platform, that's what they call Rev OP, which went live August 1st this year. So the Rev OP is a landmark innovation in Nigeria's fiscal management, giving the government for the first time real-time visibility of all revenues from MDAs through to the Treasury. It also automates the settlement and sharing of revenues between the federal government and relevant agencies, ensuring that every naira due to the Federation is captured, reconciled, and accounted for. Now, the combination of the reforms, that's the Rev OP, the FTR, and CBS, represent a structural transformation in Nigeria's revenue ecosystem, and it's going to stop all of the leakages that we have. It will also help government to channel more resources into education, healthcare, and infrastructure. So this is a very good one. You can, really pay into the Federation account. You have your receipts. Nobody's going to be saying we did not see the money disappeared, and all of that. So this is a good one.
All right, so let's talk about the one that concerns Kanu, and he's saying why he wants governors, ministers, and military chiefs to testify as witnesses. The High-Pop leader, whose no-case submission was dismissed by Justice James Omotosho, is due to open his defense on the trial. Minister James Owike, FCT, David Umahi, Works, former Army Chiefs General Theophilus Danjuma and General Tukur Burata among those that he is actually calling forward to serve as witnesses. Now, he actually listed some of the reasons why he wants them to testify. I'll just read out some of them. Now, according to the document, Kanu said he plans to call Wike to testify on the Obigbo massacre following the NSAS protest and the role of security forces under his authority. He also said he planned to invite Uzodinma to testify on public statement following Ahmed Gulak's death and subsequent clarification exonerating IPOB. A lot of people, he said he wants to invite Malami to testify on directives and authorizations connected with the defendant's extraordinary rendition from Kenya in June 2021. He also plans to invite his physician to talk about his health since detainment. A lot of people he has actually listed. Let's see how far this can go.
So I have a story about what's going on in the House of Assembly. The headline reads about the $460 million Chinese loan that they're about to probe because it was meant to provide CCTV cameras within Abuja. This was supposed to have been done since 2010. But obviously, we're not seeing how that infrastructure is supporting security within Abuja. So the House of Assembly is going to be House of Representatives will be looking into investigating how that money was spent. $460 million in Chinese loan meant to provide CCTV within Abuja. They said they will be investigating that. Then amidst many other things they're investigating. There's a ad hoc committee to look into a 28-year gap where crude oil money that was meant to be repatriated wasn't repatriated. Then they said they found out that some frozen foods in Nigeria are being preserved with harmful chemicals. They are also investigating that. So there are many things that the House of Representatives is looking into. We wish them best of luck. Let's hear the report.
Quickly look into that, the safety of how we preserve frozen food, because we were talking about it forever. We finally got in on it. But talking about the House of Representatives, they have passed into law a bill seeking to remove members of the Nigerian Police Force, NPF, from the contributory pension scheme. So the new law is titled A Bill for an Act to Establish Nigeria Police Force Pension Board. It's meant to ensure an effective administration of pension and gratuity for the personnel of the force. It exempts them from CPS, that's the contributory pension scheme, under the Pension Reform Act, provides that police personnel will be paid 85% of their total emoluments as pension. The law is to establish a uniform set of rules, regulations, and standards for the administration and payment of retirement benefits of retired personnel of police force, and ensure that every personnel who served in the force receive their retirement benefit as and when due. But the bill is currently waiting concurrence in the Senate before it will be sent to the President for assent. It says a little bit more, but because of time, you know, I would advise that you look at the papers and read it up yourself. Let's look at the next paper. We're looking at the Daily Sun. And the major headline in the Daily Sun is election petition. Senate now wants INEC to prove no rigging. Amazing. Okay. Dangote reduces stake in refinery business to 65%, plans listing on NGX. Reasons we suspended 2-week warning strike, says ASUU. 16,769 Christians, 6,225 Muslims killed in 4 years. This according to clerics. Osun 2026, PDP, APC trade accusations over unabating violence. Reps vow to recover unremitted $850 billion crude oil exports proceeds. Tope alluded to that earlier. And then we have Nnamdi Kanu buckles set to open defense, holds private meeting with legal team in courtroom ahead of defense. Uwi has taken as well. Who has what?
Do we have time?
Yes, let's take one.
All right, so let me do ASUU. So the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, has suspended its 2-week warning strike for 1 month. It said the suspension was meant to allow further negotiation with the federal government following the intervention of stakeholders. ASUU President Christopher Piwuna announced the suspension of the strike yesterday at the union's national secretariat at the University of Abuja after an emergency national executive meeting, that's the NEC meeting. He stated that the suspension followed the progress made in the talks with the government officials regarding the union's outstanding issues. Then he went ahead to say that the union received the federal government's offer through the Yayale Ahmed-led FG and renegotiation team, and the offer was presented to members and deliberated upon at the NEC meeting, which started on Tuesday and progressed till 4 a.m. yesterday. And he said some progress has been made on the issues, but said that union members unanimously rejected the 35% salary increment component of the draft agreement. The ASUU president also said that although the offer represented a shift, from government's previous position, it fell short of the union's expectations after about 8 years of face-off with government over unmet needs. So he said the union recognized the government's commitment to addressing the outstanding issues as the offer was made, within the timelines. But according to him, the union believes that the offer was made with knowledge of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and urged the president to ensure that the right steps are taken before the expiration of the 1-month window so that they don't go back to having the strike.
Okay, ladies, let's go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue with the newspapers. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thank you for staying with us. We're still looking at today's top stories, and we're still on the Sun.
Yeah, so I have the story about election, the changes within the election. The Senate has passed in a new law. There's an update to the election. They're making changes to the Electoral Act, which is going to ensure that INEC will be the one to prove that the election was free and fair. So typically, what has been happening before now is that if you say that there was illegality within the election, you would have to provide proof that it was. And the Senate president supported the claim that, truthfully, how do you expect the people that conducted the election, that they don't have all the materials to prove that there was something wrong with the election? So if there's any allegation concerning electoral malpractice, the INEC will be the one to prove that we are clean. They say because INEC has all the materials, handle all the logistics and the personnel. So how do I prove when everything is in your custody? So if I say that there's something wrong with the election, you will prove that everything is right by giving me all the materials. I think it's going to be a game changer for the next elections because it changes how the system runs.
Really?
The burden of proof usually is on the accuser, but the accuser doesn't have access to all the evidence. The other person, which is INEC officials, have access to the evidence, and now they have to prove that they are innocent.
Yes, so INEC, you have to prove that they're innocent.
Yes, they have to prove they're innocent.
Down now.
Yeah, but it will be good for
if you accuse me, you should bring the proof.
But they don't have the proof now.
No, because if you accuse me, I will only bring the proof that shows that I did not come.
That's why INEC has to be truthful.
INEC will release the document. Let's see how it will play out. 2027
is going to be
hot.
So quickly, let's just take the story concerning Muslim and Christians being attacked in this terrorist terrain that we are in. Now, despite federal government's efforts to doubt allegation of religiously motivated killings, Christian leaders and human rights advocates have revealed that no fewer than 16,769 Christians and 6,225 Muslims were killed between 2019 and 2023 in the country. Now, the leaders who spoke at a roundtable organized by the Christian Awareness Initiative of Nigeria chain in Abuja with the theme Building Synergy Among Faith-Based NGOs for Freedom of Religion and Belief warned that the persistent persecution, mob killings and destruction of places of worship threatens Nigeria's unity. However, the president of the Paramalam Peace Foundation, Reverend Gideon Paramalam, he spoke about this talk about Christians being attacked. He said, beyond politics of numbers killed, the fact is that about 145 Catholic priests have been killed during the current insecurity experience in Nigeria. He said something that is very, very profound. He said that the current debate of genocide or no genocide against Christians in Nigeria, according to him, he said it's misplaced. He said, I would suggest the government meets with credible Muslim and Christian leaders to agree with the fact of the killings and commit itself to stopping the killings. I said this on Saturday. I said the fight is not about who have been attacked most. The fight is about ending terrorism in Nigeria. Yes, everybody will bring out their fact, but then we need to find a way to end terrorism in Nigeria because we are all victims of terrorism here in Nigeria.
Yeah, is that all we have in that paper? So let's look at Nigerian Tribune, a major headline. ISWAP threat, Kogi Ondo moved to douse tension. Strategic security measures reinforced, surveillance intensified. We're in constant contact with security agencies. Then we have election petition, Senate to shift burden of proof to INEC. Being too skinny might kill quicker than obesity. We know that. Niger tanker explosion, death toll hits 42. Gold rises by 60% as central banks shift reserves away from US dollar assets. ASUU suspends 2-week warning strike, rejects 35% salary increase offer. IMPR reverses inflation rates projection to 14% from 17% for December. Who would like to go first?
So can we talk about this confusion that they are confusing us so far now? Today they say be slim, that slim is working. Tomorrow they come again and say be a rubber, that rubber is not the in. So researchers, from ASUU University Hospital in Denmark have discovered that 2 skinny individuals had a roughly 3-fold higher risk of dying compared to those who were overweight or even moderately obese, defying long-held beliefs regarding body weight and health. My rice, here I come. A massive Danish study finds that being slightly overweight or even mildly obese may not shorten life expectancy, while those underweight or at low end of normal weight face greater risks. So the study presented at the annual meeting of the European Association of the Study of Diabetes in Vienna, Austria, suggested that being fat but fit could be less deadly than being underweight. So they followed nearly 86,000 people, mostly women in their mid-60s, over 5 years, comparing their body mass index, as the BMI, to mortality rates. Now, typically a BMI between 18.5 and less, this one is plenty data. However, they are saying that if you have some, flesh, but you are fit,
shock absorber,
it can absorb untimely death. And as you get older, you should have some form of flesh to jidego for my balance. My rice, I'm going to eat rice today.
Long and short, they said too skinny. None of us on this table.
We know about anorexia.
That's what they are talking about.
But also in much older people, I see the very shrink. If you're very old and then you're really tiny, yes, I can see how that can be a problem.
Right, so should we talk about the sad story that happened in Niger State?
Yes.
Very sad. The explosion, according to the report here, it says it has claimed the lives of 42 people, including 9 males, 24 females, and 9 children. Over 60 others, comprising 20 males, 7 females, and 7 children, suffered different degrees of burns. Now, what happened? They said there was the tanker lost control between 11 a.m. and 12 noon due to the bad state of the road. So the tanker overturned and exploded. But before the tanker exploded, the tanker was carrying fuel, as usual. And then people joined. They came in to scoop. Yesterday. Oh, you took the story
yesterday. I think they're just talking about the death
toll.
That's the update.
Oh, now they said about 42 have actually died.
We don't
from this particular.
Don't listen. Those trucks have something you can put into it that will prevent explosion. We have not implemented putting that particular device on all our trucks.
Okay, after
they've said
the truck falls.
Yes, you will not explode if they have that device.
Scooping.
Yes, you won't let things fall out. You won't have spillage. People are poor. They will think with their poverty. Dangote is talking, and he said that he's going to release about 10%. So those of you that you are trying to make money from, or you have been buying fuel, you want to now make money from the refining process, you can own shares within Dangote, because he's going to be releasing about 10% of the shares of Dangote on the Nigerian Stock Exchange.
Amazing.
He said it won't be immediate. They would watch how the market is doing and release. They are hoping to raise more funds for expansion. The goal is, so far, they started in 2024 and they were releasing 270,000 barrels per day. Now they are at 700. Their goal is to get to 1.4 million barrels per day. And to achieve that, of course, they will need to do more expansion. So they said they're looking at some Middle East investors to do expansion. The Nigerian government has a stake in this. Nigerian government are reducing their stake a little bit. So for those that are interested, just be on the watch out for the Nigerian Stock Exchange. It's good to have Nigerian companies on the stock exchange as a way to
Yes, I have this really interesting story, and it's talking about gold. I said it has emerged as the world's best performing asset in 2025, soaring 60% year to date to a record high of $4,381 per ounce. And then central banks across the globe shift reserves away from US dollar-dominated assets towards precious metal. This story just tells us how Nigeria is playing in this field. And it says that despite sitting on vast deposits in Zamfara, Kebbi, Osun, and Kaduna State, Nigeria's gold holdings make up just 5.68% of its total reserves, which is far below what experts say is needed for a balanced portfolio. They're just saying that, compared to other countries, Nigeria isn't really pulling its weight in this particular...
China, India... And
so we're looking at major economies like China and Japan. Together, they hold over $2 trillion in U.S. Treasury securities, and they're scaling back on exposure to the dollar. And then China, they said, reduced its holdings by 25.7 billion in July. So the conversation here is really to encourage Nigeria to do better, yes. And then we're looking, even across Africa, they're saying that South Africa is one of the major, I think is the biggest exporter of gold on the continent. There are other African countries also playing, very well in this market. So we just need to step up our game.
And we have this gold.
Yes, so we have the gold, but it's illegal mining.
Yeah, they're stealing this gold from us.
So anybody else? Okay, let's go to the Vanguard. Vanguard major headline: insecurity, defend yourselves. Governor Bago charges Niger residents, vows never to negotiate or pay ransom to bandits. Aliko Dangote to sell 10% stake in refinery. ASUU suspends warning strike, gives federal government 1 month ultimatum. Electoral Act, burden of proof in election matters must shift to INEC. State complicity fueling religious killings in Nigeria, according to faith leaders. Anambra Showdown, our campaign, a divine project, mass movement, says Soludo. ISWAP terror threat, Ondo Kogi governments reassure citizens of safety. Who has this ASUU suspending strike?
Yeah, well, I've taken that already, yes. But let me take the major headline quickly. Governor Mohammed Bago of Niger State has vowed never to negotiate with bandits or pay ransom for kidnapped victims, saying instead residents must be prepared to defend themselves against attacks. The governor made the disclosure when he visited the people of Rijau and Magama local government areas of the state, whose communities were recently attacked by bandits in Kantagora. He said the state has reached a point where the people must stand up and defend themselves because ransom will only turn kidnapping into a thriving business. He says, I will not negotiate with bandits, I will not pay ransom. The moment we start paying, they will open shop on our heads and continue kidnapping people. The situation has reached a state of war and requires a collective resistance. So we are surrounded by enemies, but will not give up. The Constitution gives us the right to defend our lives and property, and we'll do just that. There's no going back. So he says that they are planning to recruit and train 10,000 members into the Joint Task Force, that's the JTF, to help restore security across the state. And they are going to be covering 8 local government areas of Magama, Kontangora, Rijau, Wushishi, Mariga, Bogu, Mashegu, and Agwara, amongst others. He also talked about illegal mining. He said it's become one of the major drivers of insecurity in the area, with miners often accessing forest zones unharmed, while residents suffer repeated attacks. So they are going to see how they can work together with all the security agencies, the NSCDC, Civil Defense Corps, to arrest anyone that's caught engaging in illegal mining activities in the area.
Thank you. That's all we can take from the newspapers this morning. Let's go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.